Hello, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we start the video, thank you so much for 11,000 subscribers. We just hit 11,000 subscribers. I never reached this far on YouTube before. It feels amazing. I've never been more grateful and I can feel the momentum. We're actually growing. We're becoming a big community. Inshallah, we'll get even bigger and soon we'll hit even bigger milestones. Thank you so much. And if you're new, please join the community. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And welcome to the community. The reason I made this video is because I made a video titled My Advice If You Want to Leave Somalia. Some of the comments, which if you haven't watched, you should watch that video, which I talked about if you want to live in Somalia, some things you should know. Based on some people that were watching the video, apparently they said, I don't know what it's like to live in Somalia. Today I will talk about my experience living in Somalia. First, to let you guys know, yes, I was born and raised in Somalia. I'm not some fake Somali. So just know that, please. I get asked a lot where I grew up, where I've been, all of that stuff, because most of my videos I talk about Somalia, what it's like living in Somalia, all of that stuff, and try to give advice to my fellow Somalis back home. So people tend to think I don't know what it feels like to live in Somalia, all of that stuff. But I'm here just to clarify, and I'll dedicate this video to talk about my experience, my personal experience living in Somalia. I'll talk about the positives and the negatives of living in Somalia. Make sure you watch the full video. Don't just watch the positives or the negatives. Some people just try to nitpick things that they already looking for. Please don't do that. Don't. Just watch the whole video. I will start off with positives. So we'll get to the negatives at the end of the video. If you're interested, just watch at the end of the video, alright? The first positive reason, which I really loved about living in Somalia, the sense of home. Living in Somalia, you have a sense of home that you will never feel anywhere else. Wallahi, I'm pretty sure people that were born in Somalia that moved to a Western country to live there will probably understand this, especially the older generations, the people that, grew up in Somalia till the age of 20, 25, after that age, that you were born and bred there. Those people can literally understand this point. The sense of home that you get from living in Somalia, just waking up with full sunshine on your face. You don't have to worry about no snow, you don't have to worry about nothing. Just waking up to that fresh anjal, your otka. It could be whatever you eat, it doesn't matter. Going out, just seeing everybody speak the same language. Everybody speaking Somali. Have you ever lived outside of Somalia? The feeling that you get from seeing a Somali in a foreign country, you can understand that feeling. People back home don't feel it because they're used to it. They're kind of low-key immune to it. They just see Somalis everywhere. Let me tell you this. If you ever move outside of Somalia, it could be Kenya, it doesn't even matter. The feeling that you get from seeing another Somali just down the street, it's something that you can't describe. It feels like you know them. It feels home, even if you never met them before. The more I grew up, the more I was immune to it, the more I didn't feel it as much. But when you're young, it's amazing. The food, just going to Leather Beach. It doesn't matter. You can apply the same thing if you live in other cities. If you live in Kismayo, just waking up, going to Duxi, coming back like the weekends being Khamis and Jumu'ah instead of Saturdays and Sundays, watching NBC2, NBC3, going outside with the kids. The kids in Somalia are more free than compared to anywhere else in the world. Some people might see it as negative, some people might see it as positive, but growing up in Somalia as a kid, you have all the freedom in the world. You go out, just see a bunch of other kids, hundreds of other kids, play football with them. Every auntie you see is literally like your mom. She talks like your mom, she sounds like your mom, she looks like your mom. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. The whole country feels like home. I could talk about this point all day, and that's the first positive point growing up in Somalia. Low-key feel bad for kids, not in a bad way. I feel bad for Somali diaspora kids that never get to feel the experience, the feeling of actually being born and growing up and having a bunch of Somali kids around you. It's just amazing. It's something I can never put it to words. It is really that good. Alright, the second thing I'm going to mention is, and the reason I just put this into its own bullet point is because of how much I love it. Eid in Somalia is like nothing else in the world. I feel like we can all agree on this. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think otherwise. Eid in Somalia is never the same anywhere else. We could go anywhere else. Eid in Somalia is never the same anywhere else. Maybe it's just nostalgic feeling that I have. Maybe it's a personal feeling. The masajids playing the adhan in the morning, the night before Eid, you can hear it from everywhere. They wake you up in the morning. I live in Turkey. It's a Muslim country. I lived in Kenya. It's a Muslim country. There are masjids there, but it's never the same as Somalia. Just waking up to the adhan, to the Eid takbir, to the Eid adhan. Oh, it's never the same. Going to the masjid being filled. Majority of the time, people don't even pray in the masjid. They pray outside of the masjid because of the amount of people that come outside just to pray. Women, the moms, everybody. I put this to its own bullet point because of how much I love it. I could literally make a whole video talking about how Eid in Somalia is. And I made a video before. If you want to see, please go to my channel. Scroll down a bit. I've been documenting, I've been recording videos on this channel for a very long time. I'm not the type of person to miss a country that they lived for before. I lived in Kenya, I never missed it. I lived in Somalia, before I went to Kenya, I didn't miss Somalia that much. But the only thing I miss from Somalia is the Eid. How kids look happy. Everybody looks happy on Eid. You could meet a 90-year-old, you could meet a 9-year-old. They both look equally happy. It's crazy. There's a lot of things I can talk good about Somalia. We all know it. But now I'm going to talk about the negative things. The things that I didn't really like. But living in Somalia. I wish it changed in the future. But some of these things are personal. Are personal to me. And if you can relate, please let me know in the comment section down below. This video is me being transparent. And the first thing is the restrictions. Living in Somalia sometimes can feel like you live in a open air prison. That's a very harsh word to use, but sometimes it does feel like you live in an open air prison, especially with restrictions. If you want to get out of the country for emergency reasons, for health reasons, there's a limited countries you can go to. Alhamdulillah, nowadays we're able to go to Turkey, but even with Turkey, going to Turkey, you need to apply for visa, which takes maybe 30 days to approve and book the flight and everything. It takes 30 days. And if you need to leave the country for health reasons, emergency health reasons, 30 days, it's a very long time. It might not feel like a long time, but it is a long time. The reason I said this is because this part is gonna get deep. But the reason I said this is because during COVID time, my mom had cancer, and she was diagnosed with cancer, and she had to leave the country ASAP. And waiting for visa, applying for visa, and on top of that, COVID just made things worse, and it took 3 months just to get my mom from Somalia to Turkey, just to get better health care. Allah yarhamah, she passed away now, but it's just one of those things that kind of scarred me, and it will always stay in the back of my head. Just the restrictions. Having a Somali passport, there's a lot of restrictions to it. If you feel free unless you need to get out of the country immediately. Then you feel like you're in an open air prison. You can't go anywhere. You have to apply for visas, to countries. And the only countries you can go to, you have to wait for at least 2 weeks to get the visa, which is, I can understand, it's pretty normal. But you just don't have the same freedom as if you had the passports, if you were from other countries. So that's from the traveling aspect. And me personally, the other aspect of I feel like is restricted into Somalia is if you want to make money online. I'm talking about online because I never applied for a real job in Somalia. You know how Somalia is. There's no real jobs you can work with a degree. I mean, there is now, is improving. But the reason I said that is because I'm talking about my personal experience. And I was a teenager living in Somalia. So I was more interested in doing freelance stuff, doing content creation. And living in Somalia is a lot more restriction, especially when it comes to doing freelance work. There's no PayPal, there's no nothing. At least now they have Premier Bank, which is a good bank that you can internationally. But even with that, it just, you have to wire the money. Is very restricted. Even if you do, I remember the first time I did a work for a client was I did a video editing for a client, which was like it wasn't that much. It was like $50. I think it was $50 to $75. And he asked me to tell him where he could send me the money, but there was literally I didn't have one. I couldn't give him one platform so he could send me the money. And if you're working with clients that are not Somali, they can't just use the Hep Shield. They don't really know all of that stuff. They don't know all of the Somali services. They just want something convenient that they can send money to. Just keep long story short, I missed out on that money, especially with his YouTube. I had someone told me he wants to monetize his YouTube channel, but Somalia doesn't have a physical address, and he's looking for someone that lives outside of Somalia to activate the monetization for him, which is another restriction. It could be another different whole topic with the whole online restrictions when it comes to Somali. You're disconnected from the rest of the world. Second point is, it's pretty obvious, security reasons. This is not even my main concern. For some people, this might be their number one, but this wasn't even my main concern. I grew up, I lived in Somalia, I knew the places to avoid, which you shouldn't be avoiding anyway. If you live in a city, you shouldn't be avoiding certain areas because of, security reasons. But I worked my way around it. I knew places to avoid, all of that stuff. This wasn't even my main point. But I'm gonna just add it there for the sake of never just always looking behind your back, which is scary. Is always looking behind your back, even while you try to avoid certain places. But there's places you can't avoid, like downtown. You have to go there. There's certain roads there's certain roads you have to take to get to a certain destination, and those roads get bombed here and there. My mom used to work. She used to go out early in the morning, come back maybe in the evenings, and if something happens, I always used to panic. If something did happen to her, because of all of that bad feelings, I didn't like it. To me, it was never about I was scared that might happen to me. It was just more of what if it happens to someone that I love. So the thought of it is just more draining than the actual act. And the last point for this video is just to conclude and end everything up. This has nothing to do with Somalia. I feel like this is a personal. The more I grew up in Somalia, the different interests I had, which I feel like majority of my friends didn't share, especially when it comes to content creation. There are people that make content online. There are people that want to do freelance and stuff. I genuinely just wanted to further my career, get a higher level of education, get a higher level of experience. Then I can come back to Somalia and help. I felt like if I was in Somalia, I couldn't help the country the way I wanted to. I had to leave, I had to sacrifice, I had to better myself. This is more of a personal feeling than an actual tangible thing that relates to Somalia. I'm proud of being from that country, and I will always be. With that being said, I'm really tired. Hope you have a good day. مع السلامة. Bye.